Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like, bringing another Ike Stuff I Like video. This one about one of my favorite Ike double dies, um, and this is the 1971S proof, silver proof, FS-103. So this is in the Cherry Pickers Guide, and very nice double die obverse. And let's take a closer look at it. There's In God We Trust. You can see nice notching, pretty moderate amount of spread here. Pretty nice. Um, some furrowing here, notching here on God. A little notching here on the W, as you can see, and the E. So it goes pretty much throughout the motto. Really nice on the T and the R, the U, the S, the T. All really nice spread, doubling. You might even say appearance of maybe some tripling if you have a really early die state, but really robust doubling. It also runs across the date, as you see here, particularly that 9. Look at that 9 as a really nice, long, deep furrow, nice notching here. But you can see evidence of doubling all across the date and also in Liberty. Um, all of Liberty has evidence of doubling. Look at that furrow here, notch here, a furrow here. Um, Also, by the way, the FS-103 is a peg leg R. So it's the first obverse of the 1971 S proofs that was put out. Later on, they added that little addition to the bottom that made it look like a serif, which was the second obverse. This is the first obverse. And be careful because there are lookalikes for this double die averse. And there's lookalikes that have a peg leg. There's even a couple lookalikes, similar doubling pattern, that have the peg leg. But the FS-103, there's only one die that produced that, and that is with a peg leg R. Also, if you look at Ike's head, there is pretty good doubling in the hair. You can see it here, here, down here, in here. You can see it in a number of places in the hair. You can see doubling of the pupil in other areas around the eye, and even this like a little doubling here at the nostril. Down in the lips, you can see it a little bit if you have a loop and you wobble it to light. But that's one distinguishing feature. Some of the other lookalikes don't have this detail. They don't have this detail. So look at those features, besides just the doubling, look at those features and these markers. So I always do the Calansis mint mark lines, and you can distinguish between the true FS-103 and other lookalikes. And there's at least 5 peg leg R double die verses that have similar doubling on the obverse. Maybe not quite as robust, and maybe don't have the doubling in the hair and on the eye and the nostril, but they're similar if you're just looking at the doubling. So you use the mint mark placement lines to help distinguish further, and they all have distinguishable mint mark placements. But this one right here, this little die chip, which appears on all FS-103s, this little bump right here on the R in Liberty, is a distinguishing feature as well. So I have examples of all five. Um, this one's the true FS-103. Notice the little bump, the little notch here, which is not present on the others. Now there's a little something here, but it's not that. That's what you need to see to have a true FS-103. And I happen to have the Carlson plate coin, which is the original coin that went into the book, The Cherry Picker's Guide, as the FS-103. And it has this marker as well as the mint mark placement, as well as the doubling in the hair and the eye and the nostril. These others, and I've got these other mint mark placements. They're all different mint mark placement lines that are not true FS-103s, but I have this one and a PCGS-attributed FS-103 holder. Same thing for this one. Same thing for this one. Not this one. It's close. I mean, it's not in a attributed holder, but it looks similar. But there are multiples of these that appear in PCGS holders attributed as FS-103s. And there's only one. Actually, I did a study. This is a while ago. This is a few years ago. I did a study where I studied 18 PCGS attributed FS-103 coins. Now, I only have a handful of these. So a lot of them were ones that I got really good auction images or true view images, and I was able to put mint mark placement lines on and distinguish across the different mint mark placements. The mint mark placement 2 is the true FS-103. And of the 18 coins that I studied, 50%, only 50% were true FS-103s. The others were mint mark placement 1, which is a really nice coin, but it's not the true FS-103. The mint mark placement 3 is very commonly mistaken. There's probably more of these out than the true FS-103 in terms of available production. And then even a mint mark placement 4, which again is not the true FS-103. All of these have appeared in PCGS attributed FS-103 coins. So it behooves you, if you are someone who is buying one, buy the true FS-103. Look at those markers that I just showed you earlier. Another cool thing about the FS-103 is that it has 2 reverse die marriages. The first one is a doubled reverse, probably hub doubled. You can see a little notching here. There's a little furrow up here. But the second reverse is actually tripled. So you see tripling here. You see tripling here. If you wobble the light right, you can see 3 furrows here in the crossbar of the A and the R. But you see tripling in that second reverse. You'll even see tripling out in the stars. Look here, you can see evidence of tripling here. So you'll see evidence of tripling in the stars, particularly the stars 1 through about 8. You'll see tripling. So the cool thing about this is that we can use the obverse to give us a hint. It's like an additional marker. Look at the die state. Now, remember, the proof coin dies, or the proof dies, were used to struck a certain number, maybe 500 coins, taken out of production, and then they were sandblasted and polished again. So it kept the cameo appearance because the cameo would wear out after a while, the way they did their dies back in the day. But each time they did that and they repolished the dies, you're essentially lowering the surface of the die and getting more width between the devices. So an earlier die state will have the W and the E nearly touching. This is from Clance's work as well. The W and the E are nearly touching, and as you get further and further on in die state, you get more and more appearance of separation, which is really you're just lowering the surface because of the repolishing. So this one here has the first reverse, while this one here has a second reverse. Let me show you. So here's the first reverse with that earlier die state, and it has only doubling, this minor hub doubled reverse. And if you get the right one early on, because this is early in the die state, early in the die marriage, it started developing a crack up at United, up in the U and the N. And probably because of that evolving die crack, they took that reverse out of production, repaired the obverse with the second reverse, which is the tripled reverse. And so I happen to have examples. I have 4 of these true FS-103s, and one of them that in early die state obverse has that first reverse. And that would, in the Ike group, labels it as a designated Ike variety, 1S1, which means the 71S proof, the first obverse which has the peg leg, not the, if it was a serif R, it would be 1S2. So Diva 1S1 301, which is the designation for the FS-103, 0.1, first reverse. And I've got 3 of these. So about 25, in my holdings, 25% are that first reverse with the early die state. And then remember, they took the reverse out. And in later die states, you see it paired with a tripled reverse. And this is a typo. That should be 1S1 301.2, meaning the second reverse. So about 25% with that doubled, hub doubled reverse, and about 75% with the tripling. I only have 4 examples, so it's hard to extrapolate those numbers, but it's going to be far fewer with that doubled reverse versus the tripled reverse, because the way production goes, there's more coins produced in later die state. So looking at attributed populations of the FS-103 across 4 third-party graders, and I've broken this up into the ones that are graded DCAM, deep cameo, versus cameo versus just proof, no cameo. And then Annex actually has obverse deep cameo, which means the reverse is probably not quite the same. So they actually made that distinction. So that's the summary. This table summarizes the graded attributed populations of the FS-103. CACG has not stickered any because CAC, the sticker company, does not sticker Ike proofs. They'll sticker Ike business strikes, but one of the exclusions for CAC stickers are the proofs. So you can never get a CAC sticker on an Ike proof. And CACG, the grading company, has not yet graded an FS-103. So there's nothing in their population at this point in time. But all in total, most of them are PCGS. But all in total, there's been 155 that are attributed FS-103s. Now, keep in mind that number is a little fuzzy because sometimes people will break them out from one third-party grader and submit it to another third-party grader. So the population reports are not corrected. So 155, a little fuzzy, but that's about the number that have been attributed so far. Of those 155, 22, total of 23 actually have been graded 69 DCAM. So not many, only 23, 22 PCGS, 1 NGC that have made 69 DCAM or an NGC's Ultra Cameo, UCAM. Not many. So you're dwindling that population down, and there are no 70 DCAMs of an FS-103. I happen to have a 69 DCAM from PCGS. I have one of these. And further, you notice the sticker. The sticker is QA Check. QA Check is a company that run by James Sago that does a sticker modern coins. It sort of fills the space that CAC, the sticker company, failed to fill. CAC sticker company typically stickers only typically excludes moderns. I've already mentioned they excluded Ike proofs while accepting Ike business strikes. QA Check will sticker all moderns. All right. So this coin, I consider it one of perhaps the best. It's certainly, there's no higher population, and this one actually managed to have be able to be stickered by QA Check. So I'm really happy to have that one in my collection because I think it's one of the finest known FS-103s that are in third-party graded holders. I want to mention that in 1971, the average die life of a proof obverse die, so an FS-103 die, the average die life was 2,500 coins, and this is per mint records. So there aren't that many of these things that were true FS-103s that are out there. Theoretically, maybe around 2,500 were originally produced. Who knows how many have been damaged or lost or what have you. But there also is the issue of other dies with lookalike doubling ending up in FS-103 holders. So when you look at this population, 155, you look at these 69 DCAMs, how many are not true FS-103 Ikes? This study, which is a small sample, it's only 18, suggests that maybe only 50% of this number may be true FS-103 Ikes. Maybe only 50% of this number are true FS-103 Ikes. So this is a question we don't know for sure, but if you're going to get an FS-103, you're going to buy one, check those markers that I just mentioned. Oh, by the way, I wrote an article about this with this study included, and I'll put the link to that article in the description of this video. If you happen to find something that looks like an FS-103, check those markers and make sure that you're submitting true FS-103s when you submit them to a third-party grader for attribution. The other question is, of the true FS-103s, how many are the first reverse versus the second reverse? From my small sampling, it's about 25% to 75%. So we don't know the answers to those questions, but it sort of enhances the interest, my interest in the FS-103. So thank you for allowing me to share this information with you and share my coins with you. Remember, buy stuff you like, but be smart about what you buy. We'll catch you next time.